Welcome, JP Gusgazzi here with the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce, one of our civic engagement platforms, and an important one today. John Collick, he wants to be your next congressman in the 3rd District of Virginia. We're glad that he's with us. He's been on with us once before, and then since then he won the primary against some tough challengers. Welcome, John.
Thanks, JP.
It's good to have you here. Have you gotten a little grayer, man? I mean, the campaign's being rough.
Yeah, it's grown out a little bit.
You look good, and you've certainly been busy. Introduce yourself to our viewers, please, and kind of give an overview of what your platform stands for.
Okay, sounds good. Well, folks, most of you know who I am. I'm John Collick, currently living in Suffolk, and I'm in the 3rd District running against Bobby Scott. So basically, the platform is 3 major areas with a lot of sub-areas. First is the right to self-defense, the Second Amendment. Next is education, and we'll talk a little bit more about that because that's a big part of the platform, and there's many parts of that. And thirdly is national security, because we need to ensure that our country stays safe, and having a large naval base here, it's very important to our economy and the national security. So they're the 3 pillars of my campaign.
Okay, let's talk about that first. Obviously, the Second Amendment and guns rights. What just happened in the Richmond legislature when the Democrats took over that. And again, we're nonpartisan, folks, but just the facts are they enacted some tougher gun restrictions. Is that correct?
No, they absolutely did, and in my opinion, violated the Second Amendment. You know, they don't want people to be able to have weapons. They're talking about, on a national level, Biden and his folks are talking about taking people's guns away. Okay,
I just can't imagine how that would ever work. Who's the guy? Beto from Texas.
Yeah, well, Beto O'Rourke. You have to, but JP, you've got to go back and you've got to remember the Fast and Furious program that the Obama administration set up to send weapons into Mexico so that the gangs would be using them and they could justify, these weapons came from America. So, we've got to stop letting people own weapons. That was a backdoor mechanism, if you will, to try and get rid of the Second Amendment, to get the populace against the Second Amendment. And it backfired when Brian Terry was killed, and it was identified that they were guns sold in America illegally to gang members.
Refresh our viewers on the Brian Terry incident.
Yeah, Brian Terry, he was a Customs and Border Protection officer that was killed down on the border. I believe it was in McAllen, Texas, by gang members, by drug runners who were using weapons that the Obama administration basically funneled down to Mexico.
I remember it well. School on a lot of people's minds. Everybody wants kids to be back in school. Everybody wants the kids to start playing basketball and wrestling and football and softball, etc. Suffolk or Portsmouth just shut their schools down definitely through the end of the year, 100%. Earliest opening is January. I don't know what everybody else in Hampton is doing. Your thoughts?
Well, I have a son, he's got special needs, and, his immune system is severely compromised, yet he's been in school since August in a private school. He's had COVID one time, and as I understand, some of the other kids have had it. But that school is running full force since August. Yeah, there's going to be hiccups. The public schools should be able to do the same thing. There are going to be hiccups, but we know that most children under the age of 19, so it includes some adults, are not going to get it. And when they do, they're not going to pass it along. I believe I heard on the news yesterday, the day before, under 10 years old, they may carry it, but they don't pass it. So we need to get our schools back. We've got people that work in the stores. They've got to go to work every day. Our doctors, our nurses, our firefighters. We've got all these people that are called essential workers. Well, by God, teachers are essential workers as well. Otherwise, they can go find another job. We've got to get our kids back in the schools. The private schools are open. Why can't the public schools be open?
There you have it, John Collick. He wants to be your next congressman here on the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce. He's a candidate in the 3rd District here in Virginia. I'm your host, JP Gusgazzi. We're glad you're with us here for the few minutes. The third issue you talked about, I believe, was law and order, this whole defunding the police thing that came out of Portland, I guess, is where it all started.
Right.
Go ahead, give us your thoughts.
Actually, my third pillar is national security, but I definitely do have an opinion on the law and order because, this is going nationwide. We've had an issue in Portsmouth on June 10th. Thank God the good people of Portsmouth stood up and said, we're not going to put up with any of this stuff that's going on around the country. And they were able to suppress it. Yeah, a monument came down and a man was hurt badly. But we didn't have any riots in the streets in Hampton Roads and Tidewater. That's because that's a direct reflection of the quality of people that we have here. Now, when it comes to defunding the police, there is a movement here to defund the police. Make no mistake about it. We cannot defund the police because the people who are going to be most at risk are the people in the poorer communities who need it the most, because that's, unfortunately, it's a sad fact. That's where most of the crime is, and it will just exasperate if we don't have the police to go in and help out. Now, police, getting back to the Second Amendment, police respond to crimes, they don't prevent them. And that's just another reason.
John, red, yellow, black, or white, poor, rich, the polls are clear that over 80% of the people in the minority communities are very strong about it.
Right.
Do not want the police to fund it because, as you just said, they know. And unfortunately, a lot of them live in the crime-ridden areas.
Yeah.
And so that's something that most people can agree on. Let's flip the switch over to national security. You said you want to talk about that in the few minutes we have left.
Okay, yeah, just real quickly, a lot of people aren't realizing this, but we are in an economic war with China. China is building their Navy faster than we can. We need a 355-ship Navy over the next 20 years, and at the pace we're going, we're not going to make it. So we need to basically start building ships, and we've got to have our repair facilities at this stage where they can quickly repair and refurbish ships in the 21st century. It's very, very important. We need to keep the shipping lanes out in Southeast Asia open. If the Chinese feel that they can shut them down to gain control of the economy of the world, they certainly will. And that's why our Navy was founded, to keep maritime commerce going. So we absolutely have a vested interest in our national security to make sure shipping lanes throughout the world stay open.
COVID, we haven't talked about that. That is the number one issue in Hampton Roads and I guess around the world. But how do you think that the government has responded, and any thoughts on how we can attack this pandemic?
Well, I think, I'm not a doctor, but I think the response was abysmal. I think it was all political. The states doing their thing as they're supposed to, and yet blaming the president when anything didn't happen, correctly, when it started getting worse. But the governors are the ones unilaterally issuing orders to put on masks, to stay in homes, to close down businesses. You know, I walk into businesses and I see you must wear a mask due to government order. That reminds me of Nazi Germany. And now we're finding out that masks are probably not that healthy. I'm not supposed to wear one. My doctor said, don't wear it. Yet I walk into any business and I tell them my doctor said, don't wear it. They say, well, then go shop somewhere else. You know,
Wow.
This is getting crazy, JP. It really
Boy,
is.
The 2020 can't get over quick enough.
No, you're right. But what I want to get at is everything I'm reading says that if you have had COVID once, the likelihood of you getting it a second time is very, very low, although I understand a couple of people have. Let's let it run its course. If you are someone that shouldn't be out in public because you've got, you know, some type of illness that makes you more susceptible, stay home. That makes sense. But don't
We're gonna wrap
shut
it
down the
up.
country.
I want you to say, what's the number one issue that's on your heart that you're going to do when you get to Washington, or that the voters tell you they want you to do, and give out that website, John Collick, 3rd District, Congress.
My number one issue is school choice, because I want to make sure the poorest kids in this district get the same educational opportunities as the wealthiest kids in this district. That is extremely important to me, so that we have a good, robust economic base.
Yeah.
Okay, and yes, my website is www.collick4congress.com, and my Facebook is Collick #4 Congress, facebook.com Collick #4 Congress.
So again, the website was Collick4congress.com.
Right, with FOR.
There you have it, John Collick. He wants to be your next congressman. Right here, the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce. As always, we thank our chairman, Gary Byler, Max Shapiro, our tech genius that puts all these together, and our executive director, Ron, going away. But we especially want to thank John Collick for coming on, and we want to thank you, the viewers, for being with us. Come join our team. Memberships start as low as $250 at the Chamber of Commerce, and that includes us coming out and filming a infomercial at your business. I'll come out there with our film crew, and they're fantastic. I'm your host, JP Gascacci. Thanks for viewing. We'll see you next time on the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce.